Oscar-winning filmmaker Dustin Black successfully campaigned for equal marriage in the US. But are minority rights ever completely safe? Yeah! And Dustin Black is with us now. Welcome to the program. It's good to see you. In many areas, minorities have made great strides in the last 4, 5, 6 decades. Should they still be high up the agenda, or has enough been achieved to start to think of other things now?
Well, I think that you hit on a really good point. A lot has been achieved, particularly for LGBT people. Here, you sort of beat us to the punch in many ways, and then in the United States, we've been catching up. But I got to say, I think we've become a little drunk on our own successes in the LGBT community, and we become a little bit myopic as a group when we do that, and there is danger in that. The danger is we become so self-interested, we forget about what is the most powerful thing you can do as a minority, and it's to recognize your interconnectedness with other minority groups. I mean, LGBT equality, it didn't just happen because a bunch of gay people rose up and started to fight back. It happened because we understood we needed to reach out and help our brothers and sisters in racial minority communities. We started to work together with unions in the United States, with workers. So
it was part of a general fairness agenda.
Yeah, we reached out and we helped others with their needs, understanding that there's an interconnectedness of minority people, that we need each other if we're going to be able to succeed at things like the ballot box. And when you forget about those connections, when you forget about that sort of army of the us's, you start to lose. And I wrote this show in the United States called When We Rise, which really focuses on those coalitions that were built, that created the progress, that got us to where we are today. And I started writing that show because walking up the U.S. Supreme Court steps for marriage equality, I worried. I worried we were so out just for ourselves that we'd made ourselves weak.
Is it a call? I've just come back from France, where, as you know, there's an election going on there. Is it a cause for concern, or actually a breakthrough, that gay Frenchmen, particularly men, are voting for Marine Le Pen?
No, I think it's a cause for concern. I think that's exactly the kind of self-centeredness that's dangerous. That creates the divisions that say, hey, we can now be defeated because we've forgotten that we're not alone as a minority, as a group of people who are vulnerable at the ballot box. That are vulnerable.
Because there are other minorities that could be. What about, I mean, quite a remarkable figure, I thought, too. Almost 30% of Hispanics voted for Donald Trump.
Yeah, well, that means there's 70% who did not.
Yeah, but that's a lot, though, isn't it?
But, you know, I think it is a fair amount.
Yeah. It's not much fewer than Mitt Romney.
Right. But I think there is some of that is the makeup of Latino people in the United States and some of the traditions there to vote along party lines. And sometimes that's not voting for your best interests. And there are traditions in families where that is what is taught and what is understood, and we vote along party lines. I don't think it's beneficial. And I do think that a lot of people at this point regret those votes. And I also think that there is right now, and you see it in France, I was just there as well. And I saw it here when I was here with Brexit, and certainly with Donald Trump. And not taking sides on any of those, I feel like there's a lot of talk about fear. I mean, I just heard Theresa May say this whole election was to prevent chaos. Well, that's stoking fear. Where is the positive vision? This is a great nation. I'm here for a reason. I love this country. This country has done great things, built great things, explored the world, set wonderful examples when it comes to minority protections, providing health care for your people. And I know there's more to be done, but you set a great example in so many ways. Where is that constructive vision?
That's a very good point. We don't get vision, do we?
We're not getting vision at the moment.
We don't get vision.
Well,
in this, where is the vision?
I think one of the reasons that the Remain campaign lost was that there was no vision about what sort of Europe it wanted. I think since then, actually, Mrs. May has put forward a bit of a vision. It is, actually, it rather chimes in with some of the things you said. It is about a global Britain. It is about establishing relationships with countries that have been neglected during the period that we have been in the European Union. It's about developing free trade. It's about using our freedom to become more competitive. So I think there is quite a lot of vision there, actually. I think your remark might have a general application, but I don't think it particularly applies to what's going on right now.
I think what you see about Europe, what you see about our decision to leave, is the rise of nationalism. And the rise of nationalism carries with it a kind of intolerance. And I, you know, in my youth, we chemically castrated gay men for being homosexual by the state. What we did to disabled people was awful. The way people of other colours was treated was disgraceful.
But all those things have changed.
All those things have changed, but now you hear people saying about liberalism. It's liberalism that's created all these terrible things we have to escape from. And part of that is a part of the reason why Europe came together was to stop the rise of nationalism.
Well,
and whether you see it with Le Pen or whether you see it with Trump, you're seeing that returning, that we can all be protected, we can go behind our barriers. And
But when you hear Tony Blair talking about, you know, an ideologically motivated minority, when actually what he means is a majority of the British people have just voted in a referendum. I mean, it really
but he's saying who's driving the bus.
All right,
it really defies
who's
belief.
running this.
Let me bring Dustin. But you said protect is a good word. Why were you going to say that?
Well, because I think that's what so much of the language I'm hearing is about. And sure, in the specificity, I'm starting to hear some ideas of what a post-Brexit world might look like here that might be positive. I'm starting to hear a little bit of that. I'm not terrifically inspired by it yet. I don't imagine a lot of people are. What I'm hearing mostly is about the fear. The divisions that have to be created to keep us safe. Certainly in America, there was a whole campaign waged around building what? A wall. And it feels very similar here, certainly to the extreme right now in France, where I feel like fear is fueling.
There's a lot of fear in France, but it's interesting that the person who topped the first round was the one who spoke most about hope.
Yes. Well, that is a hopeful, I found that a very hopeful moment. And I will say, I don't try to get too political, and I certainly don't align with any one political party. But in that case, I will say, I do hope he wins, because I think that will send a signal that that kind of fear alone won't cut it. That you've got to have a positive vision for how to create progress, no matter what party you're in.
What brings you to our shores?
Well, love first and foremost.
That's as good a reason as any.
Yes. He just showed up from an award show to come here and visit me.
And to be with us.
And to be with you. He wanted to see you. But, you know, first and foremost, it's that. And it is a beautiful country. And I was not born here. But I do love it, and I treasure it, and I want it to do well, and I want it to keep setting a positive example. And I do hope there'll be leaders here who will start to promote a vision of progress.
Well,
I think that could be very exciting.
Whatever reason you're here, we're delighted you are.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.